You heard them burst into laughter.
I hope for her decisions, but
Yeah, but I think he's disillusioned. Completely.
all right.
I like.
Pointy, elaborate, and you heard them sing.
Love you, Zindagi.
Some even choked up over childhood memories.
I always go back to, and I always become tearful when I think about it.
Trailblazers at the top of their game. Men and women running some of India's most successful businesses.
I have to work that much harder. I have to put that much more in.
Over the years.
Yes.
Earlier I could say, no, I can't afford.
Yeah.
But now I can.
War between Bengali and Odisha wouldn't start. All right.
I would have
He'll
told
be
you
dead
that.
अगर मेरे को उसको लगा कि मेरे को नाम भी याद नहीं।
For the first time, opened up like never before. Puns were not spared. Inspirations, failures, love, marriage, parenting. Absolutely nothing was left undiscussed.
You're doing it for next 10, 20 years.
My job is to set a vision.
Or dominated more by one. It has to be an equal responsibility.
All the history of Roman Empire, I love the historical piece.
As in, fair enough, like his name should also be there.
All this while meandering through city traffic, right here on Rolling with the Boss, with me, Abhishek Singh. The show, a year after it started, has come to its first major pit stop, the season finale. Now, I'm not allowed to have favorites, but if you haven't watched the series, I can surely recommend the first episode you must watch. And that is the episode with Aditya Ghosh, a lawyer who turned a business leader. He, of course, ran one of India's most successful airlines, then went on to found Chaurangi, a restaurant in London, on a whim. And after that, he founded Akasa Air, India's youngest airline, with the late Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. And the reason I recommend you watch that episode first is because if life is a series of experiences, Mr. Ghosh has certainly had a few enviable ones. Apparently, you're the guy with the best head in the business.
Pun intended.
Oh boy! I mean, you do have a beautiful head, for sure.
So Bombay आया फिर मतलब
Platform पे
platform
सोया.
पे सोए और pavement पे सोए, footpath पे सोए.
Yeah.
तो जावेद अख्तर said something very interesting. He says जो सब पे गुजरी वो हम पे भी गुजरी. Right. So let's not. I mean, I don't want to say that the airline business is so difficult. Bhai, I'm like some God's child. ऐसा नहीं है. All businesses are difficult. Like you said, I was 32 years old, and we have just had two babies, and one is about a year and a half, and one is 6 months old. And I've been a lawyer all my life. If I screw this up, then definitely my career as a manager is over, or a CEO or a business leader is over, businessman is over before it even started.
Right.
And nobody's going to hire me back as a lawyer either, So I walked away from that. We were in 16 cities for a while. We're going to open up Port Blair as our 17th city, and all of this in 15, 16 months.
Great choice, because I mean, of course, Andaman happens to be like absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I wear a flipper over here, which signifies my, which I got at the end of my license, open water, advanced open water license as a scuba diver, and that was Havelock in Neil. So yeah,
I mean,
that's not the reason why we are flying to Port Blair. We are flying to Port Blair because it makes sense. Yes. I wasn't part of that decision. Network planning team. Yes. But having said that, I'm very happy.
I definitely take that Akasa flight, because Andamans happens to be one of my favorite places. Yeah, I mean, Andamans and then Leh.
It is special. One has to be, if you have a passion, if you have a hobby, if you have a bucket list, if there is someone that you want to talk to, go do it. What are you waiting for?
Right. You just recently started skiing, right? It was probably one of the things on your bucket list.
Yeah, but now been 3 years.
Okay.
Go. Yes, but it's fairly recent.
Are you good enough to show off a few moves on the slopes now?
Just about, yeah.
Just about?
Yeah.
And does your daughter get to...
Daughter's better. My daughter's better. But yeah, even last winter, we were the first to open up the phase 1 slope in Gulmarg.
Right.
So yeah, we'll be there again in a month's time.
I've been to Gulmarg, and I've just seen people skiing from a distance, because obviously people not there to ski. We were
of course, people who are much better than us, than me. So this year maybe phase 2.
Right.
That's the
Okay.
target.
And what's the next thing on your list of things to do? Is there something that is in the back of your head right now?
Oh, that's a long list.
Oh, yeah?
We don't have that much time, but that's a very, very long list.
And as you can tell, the sun today is unrelenting. So let me do that one thing which I haven't done on the show so far. Get back in the car, get behind the steering wheel, and take you through the interesting bits from this series. So join me. Didn't I say an enviable list of experiences? Now for the snippet you're about to see, we drove all the way to Jaipur to meet Amit Jain, founder of Car Dekho. And the reason I love his story so much is because he did the unthinkable. A decade and a half ago, he started a company not out of Delhi, Bengaluru or Mumbai, but Jaipur. And you probably know him as a shark. But what you don't know, the man can belt out some serious tunes as well. Enjoy.
Love you, Zindagi.
I told some people in Delhi that I'm going to Jaipur. It was like, Amit. So the city, which was known for, all the forts and, the Rajas and Maharajas, is now being, recognized more and more for entrepreneurs.
Which is good. When we came here and started the company, we started in 2007.
Yeah.
And in 2007, there was no IT industry here. Startup was not even a word that was known.
Right.
We built the business for ourselves. And we did not know it's called startup back then.
Right.
We were building a company which could be a large company.
Right.
Aims were always large. Let's build $1 billion company. Emotional movies भी अच्छे लगते हैं. I end up crying when I watch, movies जिसमें थोड़े रोने धोने के सीन होते हैं तो मैं तो एकदम टप टप आंसू बहते हैं मेरे तो.
Okay.
I'm that kind of a guy. एक आनंद करके मूवी है. उसको जब भी देखता हूँ बहुत रोता हूँ मैं उसको देख के. And I love sports. मैं टेनिस भी खेलने चले जाता हूँ अनुराग के साथ.
Okay.
I also love to play football with my kids. तो मेरे को स्पोर्ट्स बहुत पसंद है. मेरे को वीडियो गेम्स खेलना भी बहुत पसंद है जो अब नहीं खेलता क्योंकि मैं बच्चों को सिखा रहा हूँ कि वीडियो गेम नहीं खेलने वरना before kids were born I was a avid video gamer also at a point of time.
So you had to quit video gaming because of...
मैं अपने बच्चों को नहीं जा रहा इस एज में they get exposed to screen. We give them very limited screen time. So I should follow what I'm teaching. I want to make sure कि उनके मोबाइल में ना लगे रहें. Gaming तो मोबाइल में भी आ गई है अब.
Correct.
So we have not given them any mobiles or any smart.
How old are they?
9 and they will turn 10 now.
Oh, so they very soon they will start making your life very difficult.
No, they already have because their peer group of students they go to have mobiles, access to PS5.
They know my dad can afford it.
Of course, being a shark at Shark Tank basically becomes a little bit. Earlier I could say no, I can't afford.
Yeah.
But now I can't.
But let's go a little back in that the personal life story of yours, and let's talk about your marriage with Pihu. I mean, how you met her. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So with Pihu, it was a typical arranged marriage.
Yeah.
Some relative of ours.
That's that's something which anybody watching this interview who's watched till now can definitely predict. I mean, it's such a family man. It has to be an arranged marriage.
So it was like this. I was, when I was in Bangalore, my father would visit, my grandfather would visit, and I had, some girlfriends, as you may call them. Not really girls.
No, by that you mean friends who were girls.
Friends who were girls.
Right.
Yeah, and we had in a steady relationship, just to be clear.
Okay.
But they were friends who would visit. Bangalore is a Jaipur तो थोड़ा different है. वहाँ पर आपका friend circle बनता है. तो उसमें 2-3 लड़कियाँ थी, 4-5 लड़के थे. हम लोग 7-8 लोग का group था. When they visited, they felt कि ये तो यहाँ नहीं फंस जाएगा.
Right.
Typically conservative family जैसे सोचती है. So they came back and said, इसकी शादी कर देनी चाहिए जल्दी.
Right.
So that's how the thought process of my grandfather came that इसकी शादी करनी है अब. And I was very young back then. जब उनको ये दिमाग में आया, I was just 24.
Oh, yeah, 24 is very young.
Yeah. Just IIT से निकले 2 साल हुए हैं literally.
Right.
तो ऐसा भी नहीं कि मतलब बहुत साल हो गए नौकरी करते.
Correct.
So that's how he started scouting for girls, and he was an astrologer himself.
Okay.
My grandfather.
Right.
तो पत्री मैच करके घर में कौन सूट करेगी सबसे पत्री मैच होती थी.
Right.
कि दादाजी से बनेगी, पापा से बनेगी, अमित से बनेगी. And कौन है जो इससे शादी.
Oh, अच्छा. Not just with you.
Yeah.
The patti was matched with the entire family.
Yeah. Because you have to be compatible in a joint family with everybody, right? That was the thought process behind.
Next up, the story of Priya Agarwal Heber, chairperson of Hindustan Zinc Limited. Now, Priya is not your usual business leader. She had her own plans before her father appointed her to the board of Cairns India Limited. Since then, Priya has come a long way, and now she's trying to change the industry, which has been dominated by men for centuries. Watch.
When you joined and when you went in as the boss, the big boss for the first time, how odd did you feel? Because, I mean, apparently it's, you know, a space dominated by men.
Most of my life, it wasn't certain to me that I would join the industry.
Yeah.
I was, and a part of me was actually running away from it also. In 2011-12, at some point, I turned on the television and I turned on the news, and in front of me I saw Priya Agarwal, at that time Priya Agarwal,
Right.
has become a board member of Cain, our oil and gas company, and I was in shock. I said,
I see.
No one had, my father
So it
did
was-
not tell me
It was
that
a
he was
trap
doing
well laid.
It was, this was not part of my
Yeah.
life plan at all.
Uh-huh.
And I saw that and I called him and I said, Ki Papa, what have you done?
Yeah.
I understand, I know Cain, I know it's a special company, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not an oil and gas person. I don't know anything about it. What value will I add? He said, and he's the kind of person who likes to throw you into the deep end, that you will swim and you'll figure it out.
Right.
He said, just start going. And I remember my first board meeting, I was so nervous. Because, I was this young girl, firstly, in a board of 7, 8 head honcho,
Right.
men, 50, 60, 70 years old, extremely experienced.
Yeah.
A lot of what they were saying was flying above my head, and I was just completely, I was scared. And but what was funny and what made me a little bit more scared was that the moment I entered, the company secretary came running to me and she said, Priya, we're so excited that you have joined the board, and the kind of ideas you will bring, being chairman's daughter, will be unparalleled to anybody else. And that was it for me. I said,
Pressure.
So pressure,
Yeah.
pressure times 100.
Rohit Bansal, the co-founder of Snapdeal and Titan Capital, although has been around for a while, but he continues to remain an enigma. At least I didn't know much about him before, of course, talking to him on Rolling with the Boss. And on this show, he opened up like never before. So if you want to find out how to spot companies like Ola, Razorpay, Urban Company, Mama Earth at early stages, do tune in.
To get Rohit and Kunal interested in your company, what are they looking at? So if you were to list out those 3 or 5 things for us, what will those
So just in 2015, 16 somewhere is when we set up Titan Capital and started doing it more formally. Earlier it used to be only a hobby. Now it is a hobby as well as sort of a full-time role in some ways. So that's how we started. We've now invested in over 250 companies. 7, 8 have become unicorns. So overall I think we have a good thing going. What we look for in entrepreneurs is 2, 3 things. One is obviously, it has to be an exceptionally smart team, which everyone would say. Their ability to learn. Because entrepreneurship, you are perpetually learning. We've seen from our own experience as well as the experiences of others. Just your ability to learn, try something, whether it works, doesn't work, but what did you learn? How do you improvise? That's number 2. And number 3, 3 and 4, the idea, whatever idea you have, we feel actually many investors care about how large your target market is it a big TAM, can you build a large business, etc. We actually don't think like that at all. We are actually completely okay and maybe even prefer a small TAM, small target market, but whatever service or product you are building should be exceptional for that TAM.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. Mama Earth, when it started, when we met them, we were their first investors. They were making toxin-free mosquito repellents for kids.
Right.
Now that is as narrow as it gets. The total market would probably be 100 crores, right? That's it. But the product that they had made was exceptional, which means people for that small TG absolutely loved it.
Right. There are certain things which bring us pleasure, and no matter how spiritual and even if you have attained nirvana already, there are certain things we like to spend money on.
Absolutely.
So what are those things?
So for me, I've thought about it a lot, and I think you're right that the first time I made some money, I also was tempted because I saw everyone around me, whoever has money, they love to spend on many types of things. So I also tried my hand, let me also spend some money. So the first few things I did is started buying slightly more expensive clothes. And by my definition, expensive means a 10,000 rupee pair of jeans.
Now the episode for which I really wanted to drive was the one we recorded in Mumbai with Janty Khan, the woman behind Bisleri. Alas, we ended up taking a flight. But Janty's story and Priya's have a lot in common. Just like Priya, Janty was also initially reluctant to join her father's business. But ever since she joined, Bisleri has been touching new heights. Here's her story. But your father, I mean, because you were only 24 when you joined him at work, very young, and your father is somebody who's, I mean, you know, there are all kinds of monikers for him, but one which stands out is the cola man of the country, right?
Absolutely.
Cola man of India.
Yes.
So when you joined, was there that pressure?
See, I'm a person who is, I think I get it from both my parents, very stubborn. And I have a different view of looking at things. Just because somebody older and more experienced than me looks at something a certain way does not mean I'm just going to blindly follow that. I will question it. And aside from my father, I've noticed that people from various industries who are senior to me do not like to be questioned. My father will answer my questions as to why, how, and I like doing things in my way. And if it succeeds, well, then I did something right. And if it fails, I need to learn. What did I do wrong? Yeah.
But
So there's no pressure for me to be my father, because clearly I am not my father. You can't
Of course.
be another person.
Yeah.
And don't forget, I'm also a half mix of my mother.
Yes.
So it's like these two qualities mushed in together with a lot of other experiences I've had on my own. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a journey, yeah.
Right. Talking about your mother, you recently added her name to yours.
Yes.
What triggered that?
I just thought to myself, my mom's the one who carried me. I carry her DNA too.
Right.
So why am I identified with my father's last name?
Right.
As in, fair enough, like his name should also be there.
Sure.
But she
Yeah.
gave birth to me, so like,
Absolutely.
you know, why are we disregarding the mothers?
Right.
And not just me, any mother.
That's the norm, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
know, on forms, etc.
Yeah.
They want the father's name, and generally people.
Exactly. They never ask you about your mother.
Yeah.
And I just found that to be totally unfair. And also, to tell you the truth, I think it's pretty cool that I'm a mix of two completely different backgrounds.
The next snippet you're about to watch is from the episode with Upasana Taku. Upasana's journey's been about fighting stereotypes. 14 years after starting up, she remains one of the very few successful female fintech founders. And Upasana is always such a pleasure to talk to as well. Watch this clip to find out why. I like the way how you just sort of, you know, flipped the car around. No hesitation.
Why will I hesitate? Like there was a green light and
No, I completely agree, because the gentleman up ahead, I mean, he saw, he paused.
maybe he's scared that a woman is driving. So that's why I'm driving, to prove to your viewers as well that, you know, there is no rocket science in driving, and there's no rocket science in building companies, and there's no women can and should be doing all of it. It's like ek hi zindagi, you never know when you're going to die, so you might as well have fun while living.
You're right as well. I saw one of your pictures somewhere, and that picture I was like, is she actually riding, or did she just get like a picture clicked? You were on a bike. Where was this? Some mountain in the background.
Yeah. So that is Khardungla.
Yeah.
There are two pictures. One is Khardungla and one is here only, Throttle in Gurgaon.
Right.
So,
See, you know exactly which pictures of yours are out on social media.
yeah, because I rarely put any personal life pictures, so that's why I know.
Yeah.
So, funny story is, I do not ride a motorcycle right now, but when I lived in the US, while I had the red car, I also had a black Kawasaki Ninja motorcycle, and I also had a license, and I used to ride that to work as well.
Right.
So I felt safer riding a motorcycle in the US,
Okay.
but not so much in India.
Yeah.
So I don't ride in India.
Yeah.
However, my work partner and life partner Bipin
Yeah.
likes riding a lot. So he currently also rides and has a
Yes.
bike. So I sometimes go with him on the weekend for some short rides.
Yeah.
And once upon a time when we had not, like I think 14, we had gone to Ladakh. So we did the whole Khardungla and Pangong Lake
Right. Circuit.
circuit on a rented bike that we rented in Leh.
Right. Those must have been what, 500cc bullets, I think, because that's what you get in Leh.
Yeah, that's what you get, but I don't think it was a bullet. I don't think he was so comfortable riding a very heavy bike because the
Right.
roads were very pathrila and all of that.
2014, yes, they were.
Yeah. So
But
I think
now
हमने
they're-
कुछ और लिया था. That I don't remember which
Yeah.
bike it was. It was not a bullet.
Right.
But yeah, nowadays he rides. Oh my God, what is he riding? Ducati.
I would have
He'll
told
be
you
dead
that.
अगर मेरे उसको लगा कि मेरे को नाम भी याद नहीं है.
The next snippet you're about to watch is from Rolling with the Bosses' very first episode with Ritesh Agarwal, founder Oyo. Chances are you know his story. But I promise you, if you do manage to tune in and watch the whole episode, you will find out he's not opened up about his personal life and Oyo's future plans like this before.
So that's our ride. You're on that side. What is your inclination? Is it electric cars or you're still fond of petrol cars? What do you drive?
My next car will definitely be an electric car. My current car is a petrol car. But I think whenever I try and drive, overseas or even in India, if I'm renting a car, then we typically try and rent an electric car. Between me and Geet, she's the one who's a better driver.
How's married life been?
I and Geet have known each other for 12 years now, ever since after high school.
Where did you meet her?
It's a long story.
In your case, your parents did see you become successful. So to that extent, were you happy?
For Papa, he always said that he wanted to see me do three things. One, to get a good job. I think Oyo is a very good job.
I think you have a decent job. Let's just say that. What are your thoughts about where India is, Indian economy? How are we doing?
Our economic growth is unparalleled around the world. Our per capita income is growing in a manner unparalleled around the world. When the entire world is struggling, we are a bright spot.
Somebody sitting somewhere in a garage might actually be a threat to Oyo.
Never underestimate another young entrepreneur who's willing to want to make a difference.
Finally, IPO.
We will continue to keep a lookout at one, the market situations, but also where our earnings are. And when we feel like both of them are in a good combination, we'll consider coming out to the market.
Nicely done, sir. Nicely tossed.
The next founder on the show is Bhanu Chopra, the man behind Rate Game. Frankly, before the show, I did not think he will turn out to be so much fun to talk to. Just how much fun? Watch to find out. I met you at your GK house and I was going to talk to you about your golf links house because I was splashed all over the newspapers last year.
Yeah.
Right? So, were you surprised, by the way, that it made it to the news?
Yeah, I was definitely very surprised.
Yeah.
But I feel like, so the news is actually old, but it was splashed all over like literally like few months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
But I bought the house almost a year ago.
Yeah.
And I believe somebody...
So you're saying the journalist was sleeping on the job because it took them so long to find out that Mr. Chopra has actually bought a house in
No,
Golf
I think the news did come out and
Yeah.
it was a tiny, bit news.
Yeah.
But this like you were saying, it went kind of like viral.
Yeah.
About 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I think it was just related to a story where somebody was profiling me and how you guys do a very good job and making it larger than life, etc. So somebody was narrating my story and decided to include the house as a symbol
Right.
of achievement of the success, etc.
But do you think it's a symbol of achievement? Because, I mean, to a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, I mean, there is a huge amount of gratitude to the Almighty for everything that I've received, and everything from here on, seems like a bonus. But at the same time, there is a desire
to do more, because not just me, I think a lot of people at RateGain have done financially very well as a result of the stock options, and people could fulfill their dreams of buying their dream car, dream house,
Right.
you know, send their kids for education, for higher studies. So, I mean, it's very gratifying.
Building a business in a sector which is dominated by the moneyed and the muscle is not an easy job. The next founder in the show, Vikram Chopra, the man behind Cars24, shares stories how he, along with his co-founders, still managed to do that. Car buying and selling ecosystem. It's such an interesting market to work in. Tell us some interesting anecdote that you can think of.
बहुत सारी stories हैं.
Yeah?
तो gun ones निकल आई हैं, like
Really?
yeah. So you know, so our core business when we started, we bought, as I was saying, we would buy cars from sellers and then sell them to the dealers, right?
Yeah.
Now, all of this today happens online.
Yeah.
It didn't happen online all along, right?
Right.
So when we were getting our app ready, we didn't know whether it will work or not.
Yeah.
We were running it more physically.
Yeah.
So you know, there would be times when a car was won by a particular dealer.
Yeah.
But then we ended up by mistake selling it to another dealer.
Okay.
Because the whole process was offline.
Yeah.
And that would sort of, you know, I remember I was at my parking yard,
Yeah.
and these two dealers literally like sort of, you know, were holding each other by their neck.
Okay.
And like the guy was like, I'm taking my gun out now, but I want this car.
Oh boy.
But you know, apart from the scary bits of
And
it,
you just sort of, looking at this.
we are like, we are not even involved in it, right? And
Yeah.
but apart from the scary parts of it, which we had to address by ensuring that there is a guard on our side and safety of employees,
Yeah.
it like sort of reaffirmed the promise of the idea.
Next up, the story of Ashish Singhal, whose only goal in life was to buy a Honda City for his father. Ashish now runs one of India's biggest crypto platform, CoinSwitch. Here's a story of his humble beginnings.
I always go back to, and I always become tearful when I think about it. We used to boil milk where it used to come, right? So one day, I think a liter of it was like
It spilled.
It spilled a bit, right? It spilled a bit, and I could see the disappointment or kind of unhappiness in my father's eyes that, you know, like it meant so much that it's waste of money. No matter what happens in my life, this is my only goal in life, right? So I studied, I did whatever. This was the only goal that I had, that once I reached this, I've made it in my life. So I obviously did well in engineering.
So
got a job.
CoinSwitch, People, Lemon, all of these things are just bonuses, right?
Car bonuses, right? So that was my first ever life goal, that if I can get my father this car, then, I've made it.
Right.
Ultimately, I decided not to pursue that, had an accident, then, came back within a year, prepared for both of it, both the years, did my competitive exams, got good enough rank to got into NSIT Delhi. Computer science, I always wanted computer science. Graduated, joined Amazon, and 9 months it took me to earn and save enough to get my father, and 12th March is their anniversary, where I gifted them Honda City. And like in my life, I never felt so free that, oh, what do I do with my life now? I have I can do anything now. So I think that is the one, that car was a primary reason of that drive in the initial days of my life. Said
Which one do you drive?
Whichever I drive a Creta, Hyundai Creta, and I think in 2022 or 2021 end is where I was buying it, and obviously because of COVID there was a lot of shortage going on, right? So I asked my assistants as well, can you figure out something which I can get like quickly? So she was like, oh, there is one Creta which is available. Somebody didn't, honor the booking, and it's available in a week.
Right.
And she was like, are you particular about, model, color? And no, whatever I can get the fastest, I'll just take
functional,
it. That's it. So I think since then, and it's...
That brings us to the end of the finale of season 1. But before we actually take your leave, let me leave you with this little snippet from the episode with Bhavan Pandya, founder Games 24/7. And I, Abhishek Singh, along with the crew, will see you in the next season. Thank you for watching. Do leave your comments in the comment section. tell us about the founders that you would want to watch in season 2. Until about, I think, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
I was going to talk to Vikram.
Yeah.
And an hour later,
Another person shows up. Yeah.
nobody could have imagined that fantasy sport will take off the way it has, especially after IPL.
Yes.
Now it's common sense. I mean, you should have a platform like that, right? At any point in time, did you think, okay, this is too difficult to space? I mean, we're great guys. We can perhaps build another business. Did that cross your mind?
It didn't, because we saw progress along the way.
Okay, so between you and Thampi,
Yeah.
who's the good cop, who's the bad cop? I mean, because of situations. Because I'm sure there are situations where you need to play those roles, right?
Yes, 100%.
Between the two of you, who's a better rummy player? Between you and Thampi?
Oh, I am, hands down. And I'm sure if you asked him,
Hands
he'd
down?
say- and I'm sure if you asked him, he would say he is.
Yeah.
But I think he's disillusioned. But let me give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
Thampi is an excellent poker player.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Very, very good. In fact, there was a time when we were in college, and part of that time we were also actually roommates. We were housemates. Actually, we were in the same house, same apartment, and he used to pay the rent of that apartment through his poker winnings. So he was, So there was a time when we were at NYU, when he would play a lot of poker and do really well at it.
Yeah.
And so he's an excellent poker player, and there I will admit and I will accept, and no ego there and no jokes there. He's a great poker player. I'm a horrible poker player, very lousy, right?
Okay.
He's very good. And so, to that question, who's a better player? He's a better poker player.